Cannabis hyperemesis syndrome is a condition that causes nausea, vomiting, and abdominal pain in people who use cannabis long term. At least that's according to the medical profession. Matter of fact, the Journal for the American Medical Association wrote in 2024 that some 2.75 million people visit emergency rooms around the country in America due to cannabis hyperemesis syndrome. This is a shock to me. I do know two people who've been diagnosed with it, but I'm here to tell you at 65 years old, knowing thousands of people who have used cannabis long term, this does not exist, despite what medical science, education, and medicine are trying to tell us. The initial report from 2004 warrants special attention because of how suspect it was. Dr. Allen down in Australia had observed some patients in 2001 that he thought were had cyclical vomiting and had smoked cannabis. So by 2004, he'd put the word out, and he had 19 people referred to him, either from doctors, nurses from off the ward, or self-referred, who had used cannabis and had cyclical vomiting syndrome. Well, 5 of them were pretty quickly rejected because they had other conditions and rare diseases. 5 of them refused to participate. So there were 9 individuals that this entire study was done off of. The parameters around it were so disparate that the length of time from the use of cannabis to the onset of illness varied from 2 years to 17 years. 3 of the 9 people who were actually finally studied were judged to have prodromal illness, which is some indication of some nebulous, undiagnosed illness that was starting. So who knows what else they had. 2 of the people who finished a study out of the 9 were women, and both of them had been previously hospitalized for hyperemesis gravidarum, which evidently is nausea during pregnancy accompanied with vomiting that requires hospitalization and intravenous fluids. So, other known instances of cyclical vomiting were discussed in this study, whether it was pediatric cyclical vomiting or psychosomatic causes, the pregnancy issue that I mentioned. But at no point was it mentioned or speculated that maybe all of these people had something residual from one of those already previously known illnesses. It seemed fairly clear that Dr. Allen was insistent on trying to link cannabis use with cyclical vomiting. Now, about 6 years later, in 2010, there was a study that was done in America. A study, it was a review of charts from 8 different patients. I'm going to put up a timeline here. I'm supposed to present you some visuals here. And in 2010 is when that study went up with 8 other patients that concluded that cannabis hyperemesis can occur in the U.S. Now, as I said, all of these studies were based on the original, and most of them didn't do any research or look at an individual patient by themselves. Some of them actually did. Some of these studies I'm holding up, or reports, are actually about one patient. One of the studies I found was about one patient who was vomiting after using synthetic cannabinoids. So, not even all of these are about cannabis per se. Now, I want to show you another example from a study in 2020, which is a fairly respected study. And this is a graphic from Dave Wano in 2020. And if you can look, you can see that it has all of these things that are connected to cannabis hyperemesis syndrome. Now, when you print this chart, and we've been told that we have to have charts and graphs for our presentations, but when you print this chart, you get the National Institute of Health link, you get the date, you get everything. What you don't get is the caption that says the schematic representation of factors that may contribute to CHS. Now, but when you look at the study and you read it, it looks like it's telling you that all of these things cause CHS. And this is indicative of the entire scientific continuum when it comes to cannabis. I don't believe that any scientific papers regarding cannabis and human health should be believed. They must be examined critically and looked at for bias versus the facts. Thank you.